What's up, guys? So today we're going to be reviewing Civil War, and it's in the Marvel Premiere Collection compact, or Marvel Premiere Collection format. Yeah, on the back. The Marvel Premiere Collections don't really have any artwork on the back, which is kind of a bummer. But here, on the spine, you can see like the little icon or the symbol that they have for the book. And this one's like half Iron Man, half Captain America shield. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, we will be talking about this one today. And if you notice I'm wearing the same gear, it's because I am filming this right after I just filmed the Deceased review for the DC Compact. And if you haven't already seen that, go check that one out. It was a great read. But yeah, this one is by Mark Millar and Steve McNiven. Dude, this was such a stark contrast compared to the Captain America the Winter Soldier book that I got done reading. This was a lot of fun. A lot of fun to read. The artwork in this was so good. I really enjoyed it. Let me try to get you up to a good set here. Let me show you. Here, just this alone. Just the Part 1 of 7. This was the run right here. Man, that looks clean, doesn't it? Doesn't that look good? That's pretty much what you see throughout the entire run of this comic, is just excellent artwork. Really well drawn. The story is a lot of fun. I won't go into too many spoilers. I think that's how I'm going to start doing my reviews for like comic books. I'll give you my initial impressions, like, overviews of the story without giving anything away. I'll give it a score, and then we'll immediately jump into spoilers. That way, if people don't want to hang around, they can turn off after they hear the review, and those who have read it can hear all the spoilers that you all know about. So, yeah. Oh, let me save this page. This is a good part of the book. I gotta show you this. All right, bookmarking it now. So, this was an excellent read. The pacing was good. Everything flowed well. Maybe that's because it's an event comic. I don't know. I need to start reading these solos. I'm currently in the process of reading the Hawkeye Matt Fraction run. It's jogging my memory from what I did read of that series on the Marvel Unlimited app, and I'm loving it. The Matt Fraction Hawkeye is insane, but we'll talk about that in a different video. This book, Civil War, was so much fun to read. The premise is basically the government wants to start registering heroes, and in order to do that, you have to give your identity, you have to work for the government, you will be assigned your role and what areas you protect, stuff like that. So superheroes will be regulated. And the reason this came about was because an incident happened in the beginning of the book that caused the death of several people, including children, and everybody was up in arms, and it was like this big divisive thing that happened, and the superhero society is seeming to be split down the middle on this one. So Tony Stark, Iron Man, is representing the side that believes that superheroes should be registered. They should be government agencies, basically, where, they're funded by the government, they work for the government, there's regulations, there's rules in place. And Captain America is opposed to this. He believes that this will be one of the things that could be abused, and these regulations could prevent them from going in to save people when they really need it. And he believes that they need to operate on a higher level or a separate level than the government. So he is not for it, and him and his team are fighting to not have the regulations. So this starts this obviously civil war between the two factions, and you see these teams they've got their stables, they've got their people, but as the story progresses, some of these people start to switch sides, and some crazy stuff happens. People lose their life, and it's wild. So I just want to go ahead, because the rest of this is going to be heavy spoilers, because in order to talk about this, I'm going to have to mention so many scenes and spoilers and all that stuff. But 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. I know that's crazy because I gave that to Deceased, but it was an excellent story. It was a fun read. I had a great time with it. I believe the book was, well written, great art, consistent throughout. The pacing was good. It felt good. Like I said, it's a very, 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 very stark contrast to what I read with the Captain America: The Winter Soldier. The pacing is much better, a lot more action, a ton of stuff going on. And the one thing I would say, if you're going to read this, it definitely helps, just like with the Deceased comic, to have some sort of a basic understanding of the characters. So if you're coming into this and this is like your first comic, you may be a little lost. So this might not be the best jumping on point for new readers. But once you have a couple titles under your belt, or maybe even just browse through Wikipedia to kind of get the background on some of these characters. Plus, you can take a lot of this stuff from like the MCU and what you see through the media and stuff. But yeah, the core of these characters is in here. If you know that, the basic stuff, this read is such a fun read. It was a really, really good book. Like I said, a lot of action, a lot of fighting. And it answers like some of those old questions like, oh, who would win this, what if matchup between this character and this character? And you get to see some of that in here, and it's a lot of fun. Really, really cool. But yeah, we're about to head into spoilers, so I'm just going to give this Civil War a 10 out of 10. And now I remember reading this comic in the original hardcover format, but it's nice to have it in the Premiere Collection. And now with that being said, we truly will jump into spoilers. So let me show you this panel that I was saving. On Tony Stark's side, he's fighting for regulation. And the biggest thing that you could ever do is to get Spider-Man to reveal his identity. And that is exactly what they did. You see right here, let me try to make sure I'm getting it in good for you. Peter Parker unmasks, he shows himself, gives up his identity, and he does this because he believes that Tony Stark, is on the right path, and that heroes do need to be regulated. And this was so huge throughout all of the superhero society that everybody made mention of it, saying that, whose secret identity was more guarded than Spider-Man. Like, he was known as like one of the top heroes that just never revealed their identity. So this was like a big thing, especially for Tony's side, to be like, hey, look, this is how, dedicated we are to this. One of the heroes with the most guarded secret has just revealed himself, letting you know who he is. He even says, I've been doing this since I was 16, as being Spider-Man. So it was so cool. And then you get a flash to Jameson, J. Jonah Jameson. He just passes out. Everybody was around him. He was like huddling around the TV. He's like, this is the moment he's been friggin' waiting for. And it was Peter Parker. He was like, he just passed out, dude. It was awesome. It was such a cool little, a fun thing. So, but then, dude, shit gets wild. Because Cap is refusing. And then Maria Hill, as the commander of S.H.I.E.L.D., is like, hey, look, you are going to do this, or you and your people will be arrested and you'll be detained because there's now going to be regulations for superheroes whether you like it or not. And Cap's like, dude, you are out of your fucking mind. I'm not just willingly going to do what you tell me. And let's see if I can show you in here. He actually has like a stare down with the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, and here it is right here. So in this scene, it's the lead up. He's like saying, oh, and he's trying not to be confrontational. He's, he's keeping his cool. But she's like, you're going to do as I say. And he's like, dude, you're out of your mind. I'm going to do exactly what I'm supposed to do. What I've always done. And he beats the crap out of these S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. Now, obviously, he doesn't kill anybody, but he's even like, hey, man, don't make me do this, please. And they forced his hand, so he starts whooping ass, and then he gets out of there. And it's at this point that this thing has now reached a peak where it's like, this is going to come to blows. People are going to have to be brought in forcefully. it's tearing sides apart. It's even tearing families apart. When you look at the Fantastic Four, you have, Sue Storm and Johnny Storm splitting from Reed and Ben, and they go their separate ways. They're split down the middle, and that leaves the kids of Reed and Sue where they're with Reed. But it's just this wild thing that it's tearing people apart. This whole, this new act, this new law. So they try to recruit everybody, dude. You see Tony Stark trying to go talk to Emma Frost and recruit the X-Men, and she's like, yo, dude, get fucked. Where were you when all of the children of the mutants were getting killed and everything? He's like, you only care about genocide when it involves your people, but, what about when our people were dying? You did nothing. So it was heavy hitting. It was so good. And then you see Sue later try to go recruit Namor and the people of Atlantis, and it was, dude, that was good. So Namor was trying to fucking run game on her. He's like, I can tell your heart's beating, and he just like cups her mouth. I'm like, brother, Reed's gonna beat that ass if he sees you touching on Sue. So it was really good. But the one part where everybody shits a brick is, you see, let me pull up the page. This was wild. There's a fight. There's an initial brawl between Iron Man and Captain America's team. And, they're going back and forth, trading blows. Everybody's whooping ass. This is when, it's early on in the book. And all of a sudden, the tide turns in Iron Man's favor. And they bring in Thor. And everybody shits a brick, dude. All the people on Cap's team, let me show you their faces. Look at this. Look at this. They look absolutely terrified. They're like, it's Thor. And apparently, in this particular timeline, at this particular point in time, they thought Thor was dead. So this really shocked them, because they're like, first off, it's Thor. Second, he's not even supposed to be alive. So this was wild. Everybody was like, oh fuck, dude, Thor's here. But that's when stuff really goes south, because they are fighting and Thor kills somebody. He actually kills Goliath, which is wild. And you're like, at first you're like, dude, that was fucking cool, right? But then you're like, that doesn't seem like Thor. And you later find out it wasn't. It was like this clone that they made of Thor. And like they tried to like basically create a god. And it was Hank Pym, Tony Stark, and Reed Richards. And they were like the brainiacs behind this, like the masterminds. It was wild. And then Thor was going to bring the thunder and lightning down on everyone. And this is when Sue splits. She's like, nah, man, this is not right. What you're doing is terrible. Reed, I gotta leave you, because what's happening now is, it's too much. No one should have died. And this is what all this was for, was because there was already too much death and there was no accountability. And now we're killing each other. And that was the final straw. So she dipped. She split. She changed sides. And I mean, there's just so many cool cameos in here, and then cool things. And then, dude, Spider-Man and Iron Man, after that happened, Spider-Man was like, dude, you can say whatever you want, but I think you've lost your way, and I'm not going to follow you anymore. I'm going with Cap. And a fight ensues. Tony tries to take him peacefully, but it's not happening. And then Tony's side has now been training a new Thunderbolts team, which is consisted of villains. And, Maria Hill gives the word to send those out and bring in Spider-Man because he's escaped. And they start fucking Spider-Man up, and it is bad, dude. But then, out of nowhere, the person who saves him, I don't know if you can see it in this particular panel, but he kills the two villains. So if you know any hero that would do that, it's this man right here. The freaking Punisher, dude. So he's on Cap's side, and there's just so many twists and turns in this, and so many people going back and forth between sides, people having like a crisis of conscience, and such a good story. Such a good story. Fun read, action-packed. You gotta check it out. To really just fully spoil it at the end, Captain America finally turns the tide in his favor when they have this big battle and they're getting the heroes that have been jailed out of the negative zone, and they freed them. So now you see that Iron Man's side, they're losing this battle. The first one kind of went to Iron Man. This one is now decisively going to Cap, and they're gonna put the nail in the coffin. They're gonna end this regulation by beating Tony Stark and all of his team and showing them that they're not going to be a part of this law. That's when the citizens just get involved, and they jump on Captain America, and they're like, stop him, and Cap's like, I'm not your enemy, I'm helping you, and then the people are like, dude, you're insane, look around you, look at all the damage that you've done, all the people that have got caught up in your war and who are dying because of it. It's crazy. So he starts crying. He's like, oh no, look at all that's happened. And he's like, all right, everyone stand down. So he gives. He forfeits. He's like, you know what? We've won everything except the argument, and that's what was important. So he unmasks, and he's like, they're not arresting Captain America. They're arresting Steve Rogers, and that makes a difference. So he's willingly given himself up at this point. But all of this was basically for Tony Stark to not only be a part of these new regulations, but he is now the head of S.H.I.E.L.D., and he holds the power of every superhero's identity, and he's basically calling the shots. And the cool thing about this is, he said there was like 100 things that him, Hank, and Reed had thought about the night of the incident that caused this law to actually go into effect. And he said they were only on number 42. He said 43 was to reform S.H.I.E.L.D., and the only way to do that was from the inside, and that's when you see that Tony Stark took over as the commander of S.H.I.E.L.D. Dude, it was a great story. A great story. So it's always like Tony was kind of like a few steps ahead, planning something that wasn't really apparent right off the bat. But man, what a good story. You gotta read it. Check it out. Civil War. Again, the art, excellent. Story, phenomenal. In the back, there's no artwork. But anyway, check this book out. Obviously, I give it a 10 out of 10. A lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I think you will too. And leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think. Have you read Civil War? Did you like it? Are you only familiar with the MCU version of Civil War? Honestly, this version, way better. Civil War was great, as the movie, but this was, man, this is where it's at, truly. Truly, this is where it's at. You gotta check this out. Give it a read. I think you'll enjoy it. And let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you have read it, did you like it? And if you haven't read it, did hearing any of this stuff about it interest you and make you want to pick it up? So let me know. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.